Ballerina, 2025. A flawed, furious, and fascinating spectacle.
Welcome back to CineScope. Today, we delve into Ballerina, 2025, a striking new entry from the world of John Wick, a universe where death is an art form and vengeance is sacred. Directed by Len Wiseman, Ballerina follows a young assassin trained within the brutal traditions of the Ruska Roma as she embarks on a relentless quest for retribution after the murder of her father. Wiseman, known for his kinetic visual style, brings a wealth of experience to the screen, having directed music videos for artists like Megadeth, En Vogue, and Paul Oakenfold, and earning nominations for Best Art Direction and Best Director at the 2002 MTV and MVPA Awards. With Ballerina, he brings that same bold energy to a world where elegance masks violence, and every movement could be your last. Style over substance. It's a criticism often leveled at a certain kind of action filmmaking, a cinema of sleek surfaces, kinetic energy, and breathtaking spectacle. But what happens when that style is the substance? What happens when the world of a film is so relentlessly aestheticized that the aesthetic itself becomes the theme, the character, and the conflict? This is the central question posed by Len Wiseman's new, divisive, and utterly fascinating action thriller, Ballerina. This is a film that has divided critics and audiences. Is it a masterpiece of visual storytelling or a hollow, high-octane exercise in style? The truth, as is often the case, is far more complicated and far more interesting. Today on CineScope, we are going to break down every component of this film. We will dissect Wiseman's directorial vision, the stunning but controversial cinematography, the powerhouse performance at its core, and the thematic weight of its action choreography. This is not just a review, it's a deep dive into a flawed, furious, and unforgettable cinematic masterpiece.
Ballerina, 2025. A critical analysis.
For those unfamiliar, Ballerina is set in a hyper-stylized, near-future Europe. We follow Eve Macarro, a former prima ballerina for the Bolshoi, who was left for dead after her family, a powerful political dynasty, was assassinated by a shadowy syndicate known only as the Directorate. Now, years later, she has resurfaced as a ghost, a highly trained assassin who uses the discipline, precision, and grace of her ballet training to exact a methodical and brutal revenge on those who destroyed her life. The film is a relentless, 2-hour ballet of bullets and blood, as Eve dances her way through a conspiracy that goes to the very heart of global power.
Part 1. The director's vision, the hyper-aesthetic of violence.
Len Wiseman, the director behind the Underworld series and Live Free or Die Hard, has always been a filmmaker obsessed with aesthetics. His vision for Ballerina is the apotheosis of this obsession. We can call it the hyper-aesthetics of violence. As the critics in the language and style of film criticism would argue, a director's style is their argument. Wiseman argues that in this world, violence and art are not opposites, they are the same thing. Look at this sequence. Every gunshot is timed to the beat of the electronic score. Every dodge, every parry is a choreographed dance move. Eve doesn't just kill her enemies, she performs for an unseen audience. This is where the film is brilliant. Len Wiseman is not trying to create gritty realism, he is creating a world where violence has its own aesthetic rules, its own terrible beauty.
Now let's delve into the positive aspects and potential drawbacks of this vision. The positive aspects.
On a purely visceral level, it is breathtaking. The action is inventive, clear, and stunningly choreographed. Wiseman understands the geometry of action better than almost anyone working today. The film is a masterclass in kinetic filmmaking, a symphony of movement and impact. It's a film that uses the language of action as a form of poetry.
The challenges.
But this relentless focus on style comes at a cost. The emotional stakes can often feel secondary to the visual spectacle. There are moments where the film is so in love with its own coolness, so obsessed with creating a perfect slick frame, that the human element gets lost. The characters at times risk becoming just another part of the immaculate set design, beautiful but cold and distant. This is the central tension of the film, a constant battle between its breathtaking style and its need for a human, emotional core.
Part 2. The camera as choreographer, cinematography, and the male gaze.
The cinematography by Kramer Morgenthau is the engine of Wiseman's vision. The camera is not an observer, it is a choreographer. It moves with the same impossible grace and precision as our protagonist, gliding through vast architectural spaces and weaving through complex action sequences in long, unbroken takes. The color palette is cold and desaturated, dominated by steely blues, gunmetal grays, and stark whites. This is not a warm, inviting world. It is a world of concrete, glass, and steel, a world that reflects the cold, hard nature of Anya's quest for revenge. But here, we must confront the film's most complex and controversial element, its use of the gaze. The dissertation on gender stereotypes provides a crucial lens here. The film is undeniably shot through a male gaze. The camera fetishizes Anya's body, her strength, her grace, her lethality. She is presented as an object of both aesthetic beauty and deadly power. The cinematography by Romain Lacourba is the engine of Wiseman's vision. The camera is not an observer, it is a choreographer. It moves with the same impossible grace and precision as our protagonist, gliding through vast architectural spaces and weaving through complex action sequences in long, unbroken takes. The color palette is cold and desaturated, dominated by steely blues, gunmetal grays, and stark whites. This is not a warm, inviting world. It is a world of concrete, glass, and steel, a world that reflects the cold, hard nature of Eve's quest for revenge. But here we must confront the film's most complex and controversial element, its use of the gaze. The dissertation on gender stereotypes provides a crucial lens here. The film is undeniably shot through a male gaze. The camera fetishizes Eve's body, her strength, her grace, her lethality. She is presented as an object of both aesthetic beauty and deadly power.
Now let's delve into the positive aspects and potential drawbacks of this vision.
The drawback. On one level, this is a clear weakness. It risks reducing a complex character to a collection of cool poses and action figure aesthetics. It plays into the long history of action cinema objectifying its female protagonists, even when they are empowered. There are moments where the film feels more like a high-fashion photo shoot than a character-driven story. It is a valid criticism to say that the film enjoys looking at Eve a little too much, sometimes at the expense of being with her. The positive. However, there is a more generous and, I think, more interesting reading. The film seems to be self-aware of this. Eve's journey is about reclaiming her body. It was an art instrument, controlled by others. It was broken by violence, controlled by others. Now, she is using that same body, that same discipline, as a weapon of her own making. The film's obsessive, aestheticized gaze can be read not just as objectification, but as a reflection of her obsessive focus on her body, as a tool, an instrument of vengeance. The hyper-stylization becomes a visual metaphor for her psychological state. A woman who has had to turn herself into a perfect, untouchable, beautiful weapon to survive.
Part 3. A performance of perfect rage, the duality of grace and violence.
A phenomenal, star-making lead performance holds this entire aesthetic tightrope walk together. Ana de Armas, as Eve Macarro, is the film's undeniable anchor. This performance is a study in duality. The positive, de Armas's physicality, is astonishing. She perfectly embodies the film's central conceit, the fusion of ballet and combat. Every movement is imbued with a dancer's precision. She doesn't just fight, she glides, she spins, she lands with a ballerina's perfect balance. It makes the action feel unique and believable within the film's hyper-real world. However, the true strength of the performance lies in its quiet moments. In these moments, de Armas shows us the immense cost of her quest. This is where the film pushes back against its stylish surface. She shows us the broken human being inside the perfect killing machine. Her performance is not just about action, it's about the suppression of emotion. She embodies a character who has had to compartmentalize her trauma to function, to turn her grief into a cold, focused rage. The supporting cast, including Ian McShane as Winston Scott and Keanu Reeves in his brief but impactful cameo as John Wick, adds a necessary weight and history to the world, reminding us of the larger universe this story inhabits. The drawback. However, the script by Shay Hatton and Derek Kolstad occasionally falls short. While her internal world is rich, the dialogue she is given can be sparse and cliched. The film is so committed to its show, don't tell ethos that it sometimes forgets to let its protagonists speak. We understand her through her movements, through her eyes, but we occasionally wish the script would give her the language to articulate her complex inner world. It's a performance that is often more intelligent and nuanced than the words on the page.
Part 4. The Symphony of Steel, Music and Sound Design.
The soundscape of Ballerina is as meticulously designed as its visuals. The score, by Tyler Bates and Joel J. Richard, the composers behind the John Wick franchise, is a relentless engine of percussive, electronic fury. The positive. The score and the action are the same. The music is not just accompanying the fights, it is driving them. The beat dictates the rhythm of the gunfire, the impact of the blows. It turns the action sequences into a form of industrial ballet. This creates a powerful, immersive and kinetic viewing experience. The sound design is also a masterclass in contrast. Wiseman uses profound silence to build unbearable tension. This silence is deafening. It creates a sense of predatory focus. And when the silence is shattered by the sudden, explosive eruption of violence, the impact is immense. The drawback. The weakness of this approach is its relentlessness. The score is almost always driving, always pushing. The film rarely gives the audience a moment to breathe, to sit in a quieter, more contemplative auditory space. While effective for the action, it can be fatiguing due to its 2-hour runtime. The film's soundscape, like its visuals, sometimes prioritizes relentless style over emotional modulation. We are left exhilarated, but also a little exhausted.
Conclusion: a resonant and relevant masterpiece.
So, is ballerina style over substance? I would argue that it is a film where style is the substance. It is a thought-provoking, emotionally complex, and cinematically stunning experience that uses the language of action cinema to explore themes of trauma, identity, and the performance of gender. Len Wiseman's confident and layered direction, combined with a powerhouse performance from Ana de Armas and breathtaking visuals, creates a film that is both a thrilling action spectacle and a surprisingly poignant character study. It takes the empowered female assassin trope and deconstructs it, showing us the psychological cost of turning a human being into a weapon. It is a flawed film, yes. It occasionally sacrifices emotional depth for aesthetic perfection, but its ambition, its artistry, and its sheer kinetic power are undeniable. For those interested in films that push the boundaries of visual storytelling, provoke discussion, and prove that action cinema can be a vehicle for profound ideas, Ballerina is an absolute must-watch.
What are your thoughts on Ballerina? Did its hyper-stylized vision work for you? Or did you find it hollow? Share your perspectives in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more in-depth film analyses. Until next time, keep exploring the depths of cinema.